Let us perform a few tasks to understand loops. We'll be going through range between two integers 5 and 10 and print them. Later we'll perform quite a few tasks to understand all about for loops. When it comes to any programming language, typically we loop through either by using while or for. For is used more often than while, and hence I am covering primarily using for loops. When it comes to Python, there is a function called as range, which will give us the range between two integers. It will get us all the numbers between the two integers excluding the upper bound. So in this case, when we say range of 5, 11, it will get the numbers from 5 till 10. You can actually run this. However, the default string function or representation function output is like this, and hence it is printing like this, but internally it will have numbers between 5 and 10 when we actually use range function like this. If you wanted to preview all the numbers in that object, you just have to invoke the list constructor like this, and you should be able to see the numbers from 5 to 10 when we use range of 5, 11. When it comes to range, it also takes third argument, which is nothing but step. It will increment by that step if you pass the third argument. So in this case, it will increment by 2, and hence we will be seeing output as 5, 7 and 9. So this is how you should be able to use range to generate list of numbers within the given range. Now, as per this task, we just wanted to print all the numbers from 5 to 11. Because the problem statement says that we have to get all the numbers from 5 to 10, because range excludes the upper limit, we have to say 5, 11 like this. And then when it comes to syntax for the for loop, you just have to say for, and then the iterator. Each iteration, the element will be assigned to this, and then in, and then you have to give the collection like this. And then it will go through the elements in the collection. It will pick the numbers from that collection, and we can process the number the way we want. So in this case, if I run this, it will just print the numbers as 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Now let's create a list of 7 elements and print alternate numbers starting from 1. So this is the list of 7 numbers. In this case, we haven't used range. We just have to create a list with 7 elements. As of now, I haven't covered the lists in Python yet, but this is how a list can be initialized. You just have to say list name equal to, in square brackets, you can actually specify all the objects, comma separated like this. Now L will contain all these 7 elements as a list. You can actually check the type of L by saying type of L like this. So once the object is created, I should be able to say type of L like this, and we should be able to see the type, which is nothing but list. Even though it is not covered yet, I just want to give a brief overview. If you are not 100% comfortable by the end of this topic, you will be comfortable once you go through the modules or sections or chapters related to collections at a later point in time. So don't worry too much if you don't understand the details with respect to list at this time completely. At this time, the primary focus is iterating through list using for loop. The looping concepts has to be clear for you. Now in this case, I just wanted to print alternate numbers. For that, I am initializing a counter like this, c and t equal to 0. Let us understand how we can loop through using for in Python. As in any other programming language, in Python also we can actually loop through either using while or for, but for is used more often, and hence I am primarily covering using for. First, we'll actually go through range between two integers and print them. In this case, the range has to be between 5 and 10. So we have to get all the numbers from 5 and 10. For that, we can leverage a function called as range, which is available as part of the Python. It will actually get range between two integers. However, the upper bound will be ignored, and hence we have to say range of 5, 11 to get numbers from 5 to 10. If you run this, it will actually print as range of 5, 11, because this is the implementation for a special function called as str or repr. That's why you are seeing output like this. However, this object contains all the numbers between 5 and 10. You can actually preview by running the list constructor on top of range. It actually returns an object of type list. This is how the list is represented as part of string function or representation function, which is nothing but repr in Python. You don't need to worry too much about str and repr at this time. Just understand that we are able to preview the data by using list constructor on top of range. Now range also have third argument, which is nothing but step. If you pass that, it will actually increment by those many steps, and then you will see the output. So in this case, if you say range of 5, 11, 2, instead of printing 5 to 10 like this, it will actually print 5, 7 and 9. You can see the output here. Now our requirement is go through range between two integers 5 and 10 and print them. This is how you should be able to print the numbers between 5 and 10. You can see the output here. Now create a list of 7 elements and print alternate numbers starting from 1. So in this case, we are creating an object called as list. List is a Python collection object, and this is how we can actually create. We just have to pass the elements in the list using square brackets like this. Now L is of type list. You can validate by running type on that. You can see it is of type list. Each element in that list is of type integer and it contains 7 elements. Now we want to iterate through these 7 elements and we want to print alternate numbers from the beginning. So in this case, we can have a counter like this, which is initialized to 0. As part of the for loop, we have the if condition. As part of the if condition, we are checking if count is divisible by 2 or not. If it is divisible by 2, we are printing the I, which is nothing but this one. Otherwise, we are just ignoring. And finally, we are incrementing the counter by 1. So in each and every iteration, count will be incremented by 1. When the for is executed for the first time, count will be 0 and I will be 1. As count is divisible by 2, because when you divide 0 with 2, it will get 0 as remainder. 1 will be printed and count will be incremented to 1. Now as part of the second iteration, I will be 6 and count will be 1. As 1 is not divisible by 2, it will just ignore, it will not print anything, but count will be incremented because the count plus equal to 1 or count equal to count plus 1 is in the scope of for loop, not in the if condition. And hence count will be incremented in each iteration. Now count will be 2 and when it goes to the third element, I will be 8 and count will be 2. As 2 is divisible by 2, the 8 will be printed and count will be incremented to 3, so and so forth. Now if you run this, you will be able to get all the alternate numbers starting from 1. As we have seen a couple of examples, let's review the syntax of for loop. This is how the for loop will look like. For is a keyword which you have to use, then the iterator, then in operator, then you have to pass a list and the elements in the list will be iterated and we can actually process as part of the scope within the for loop. And the for specification will end using colon like this. It is the same way as we have seen with if conditions earlier. Now let's scroll down here. The next task which we want to go through to actually understand for loops is to go through range between two integers 5 and 15 and print even numbers. In this case, we have to apply the condition on the elements themselves. So for I in range of 5, 16 means we are trying to process all the numbers between 5 and 15. In each iteration, I will be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. We are just seeing if I is divisible by 2 or not in each iteration. If it is divisible by 2, we are printing, otherwise we are not printing. Now if we run this, it will only give us the even numbers between 5 and 15, which are nothing but 6, 8, 10, 12 and 14. Also we can iterate through a list of months and print them. You can actually provide months like this as a list and you should be able to print in this manner. Also when it comes to Python, there is a class called as calendar. You can import like this. It have an attribute called as month name. It is nothing but a list. You can actually get all the month names from calendar like this. So month underscore name. If you directly run this, you will not see any result properly because it is a special object. You have to use the list function in this manner to actually get the elements in this month name attribute within calendar. You can see here because valid months when it comes to numbers are nothing but 1 through 12. That's why as part of the first element in this special attribute called as month name within calendar, they have an empty string, but for 1 through 12 they have actual months: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November and December. Now using this, if you wanted to print only these months, the way you can take care is like this. For month in, you can say list of calendar.monthname, which will give us all the 13 records including this empty, and we wanted to discard that. For that we can use something like this, one colon. So this is how you can actually access elements from second element till the end. Again, if you do not understand at this time, don't worry. When we get into the collections, you will understand more about these square brackets and what it actually mean when we say one colon or some other values as part of the square brackets. Then you can come back and go through this. But for now, to print all the elements in the list starting from here to end, we can just say one colon like this as part of the square brackets once the month name attribute from the calendar is converted to list like this. So this will return the list, and then we are saying square brackets one colon to get elements from the second element till the last one. Now I should be able to print month like this. It will iterate through all those elements and it will actually print the month names the way we want. Let's perform few more tasks to actually be comfortable with respect to loops and also the conditionals. Already we have seen whether the baby is newborn or infant or toddler or grown up or youth based upon the age, which will be passed in the form of number of months. In this case, we are actually creating a list of ages with 6 elements, and these are the ages. So 7 months, 3 months, 15 months, 145 months, 217 months, and 18 months. Now I want to create this list. I iterate through this list and check the category such as newborn or infant or toddler or grown up or youth and print the corresponding category. So the same if condition which we have seen earlier, I just included as part of the for loop, and we should be able to get the details about each and every kid with respect to the category. So the first kid with age 7 months is considered to be toddler. The second kid with 3 months is considered to be newborn or infant. The third kid with 15 months age is considered to be toddler, so and so forth. If you want to actually print the age, you can also print the age by using this approach. You can say F and then you can say age like this, and then you can actually say newborn or infant. So kid with age is a newborn or infant. We want to enclose it in double quotes like this, and hence I have specified double quotes in this single quotes. Now I should be able to copy this and paste it for all. Now if I run this, we will be seeing the age along with the status. I can run this and you can see here kid with 7 is toddler, kid with 3 is newborn or infant, so and so forth. Let me say age in months here so that it is a bit more obvious when it comes to the output. Now we should be able to run this and we can actually see. Actually it should be 7 months age, not in months. Let me take care of this real quick, then we will actually go further. Don't worry too much about the grammar, even if it doesn't make sense to you. Okay, now if you actually look at this task, we are trying to check if each number in list of integers is even or divisible by 3. Already we have seen this logic as part of the previous topic. We are just throwing this as part of the for loop, and we are trying to process multiple integers in one shot. So ns is all the numbers with 1, 6, 2, 7, 9, 11, 3, 4. Now we are iterating through all these elements and checking if it is even or divisible by 3 and printing that number here. You can actually see the output here. 6, 2, 9, 3 and 4 are either even or divisible by 3, whereas 7 and 11 doesn't fall in any of these two categories, and hence those are ignored. That is how you should be able to implement the for loop in conjunction with if conditions to get the solutions for your business requirements. Now the task 3 is nothing but check if the number in list of integers is even and divisible by 3. Earlier it is or, this time it is and. So we are trying to use boolean and as part of the for loop. Again, we are using the same numbers here. We are iterating through those numbers and we are actually saying whether the number is even or divisible by 3, whether it is only even but not divisible by 3, it is not even but divisible by 3. So you can see the statements here. Now the next task is to check if each salary in list of salaries is valid. If the salary is negative or 0, then print salary with amount is invalid. If the salary is none, then print salary is not available. So this is the list of salaries. The variable name is sals. You can actually see that one of the salary is none, and this is how you should be able to compare. For sal in sals, if sal double equal to none, print salary is not available. If sal less than or equal to 0, print salary of sal is invalid. You can see the output as expected here. Now you can also use not operator like this on top of sal to compare against none, but when it comes to numeric types, it actually will compare against 0 also. So in this case, this will actually print incorrect results saying salary is not available even for 0. You can see here. As it is not very obvious in this, we can actually improvise on it a bit here. We can use list of tuples with employee ID and salary. Actually, when it comes to collections at a later point in time, you will be seeing quite a few examples using this format. Then you will understand what is the list, what is the list of tuples, so on and so forth, and it will start making sense. For now, don't worry too much about it, as this is not actually very obvious which salary is not available for which employee, so on and so forth. I have just created list of tuples where we have employee ID and salary. When you have a tuple like this, you can access first element by saying tuple of 0 and second element by saying tuple of 1. So as we process all the list of tuples here within the for loop, each one can be accessed with of 0 or of 1 to get employee ID or salary. And in this case, if salary is none, we are saying salary for employee with ID, whatever ID it is not available. If it is less than or equal to 0, we are saying salary, whatever amount, whether it is 0 or less than 0, for whichever employee with ID is invalid. It will be a lot more obvious when you actually deal with these kind of scenarios in this manner. You can actually run this, and in this case, first I have to create this list of tuples, then I should be able to run this. And you can see here, salary 0 for employee with ID 3 is invalid. So in this case, it is saying it is invalid. Salary minus 100 for employee with ID 4 is invalid because it's negative. Same is the case with minus 500. When it comes to salary for employee with ID 6, it is not available because it is none. So this is how you should be able to deal with the data sets as part of our data engineering pipelines. When we actually query the data from the database, we'll get the result set. We typically convert to list of dicts or list of tuples, and we process either by using for loops or high level libraries. We'll get into those details once we go through the collections. For now, we have primarily focused on for loops, and we have used quite a few tasks to understand how the for loops are developed in conjunction with conditionals using if. Make sure you are comfortable with for and if for now.